We did
It's
it. We're in. We're here.
We did the thing, guys. Yay! All right. We did it.
Yay! We did it.
I had this all set up, guys. I even had a title put in here for the live, so you could see it was the second episode of my podcast. Cool. We're going to move forward. It's all going to be okay. We have a really good topic. Okay, so as I was saying before, it's a really rough time. It's always a really rough time in the world right now, let's be honest. There's never a time where it's just a really great day. Today, lately in particular, we have what's going on in Israel with Palestine and Israel. And I just want to, as I posted on my live, I don't tend to post things on my actual Instagram feed. I tend to post stuff in my stories that go more along these lines. But I think I can speak for both of us. We're both sending love to everyone. And just because I'm not posting in my feed, it means I care and I love you and I see you all. Especially the many, many Jewish friends I have. We're sending all the love to you. And maybe at some point, this will help you along the way. I know in my spiritual practice, a lot of my tools help me out when I'm feeling quite terrible. So welcome to an Interior Perspective. This is my podcast. It has the same title as my blog and my YouTube channel because it's a good title. And this is where I explore how to live your best life through interior design and way beyond that. I am an empath. I have many spiritual abilities that will come out over the podcast. You guys get to learn more about that. But I have many practices, part of which is meditating. And if you guys know, I receive messages and channel, and that's not the same as meditating. You might be surprised. Some people get messages while they're meditating. Mine are two separate things usually. So today, what I'm really excited to talk about is to kind of break meditating down for you. So we're going to first talk about like the beginner, like I've never meditated. I don't have a mountain handy. I don't have I don't feel like wearing robes. It doesn't go with my skin color. We're like whatever you think meditating might be. We're going to talk to beginners. I really want to touch on how different meditation can look for different people. Correct. Because throughout my own practice, I've discovered all kinds of ways I can meditate personally. And I've heard of lots of different ways. And then we're going to touch on another femme that we both know from Fem City. By the way, Anna is in an amazing organization called Fem City that I'm also a member of. If you are a woman and you want a beautiful, supportive environment, I'm going to plug that here, and you can check them out. It's very easy to find them on social media. They're always under Fem City. Another lady I was talking to in Coffee Date yesterday, it was amazing, Stephanie McCullough. She mentioned in complete support of the second half of this. I ramble. You guys are used to this. You love me. Which is, I started meditating. I like it. Where the heck do I get information now? Where on earth am I? Like, there's too much. There's 5 million bits of information everywhere. Everyone's telling me how to meditate. I can go on Netflix and learn how to meditate. Like, where do I go from here in my practice? So Anna's going to be amazing and break that part down for us and kind of help like take the stress away of like, I did meditation to take away the stress, Anna, and now I'm stressed out because I want to do more with it. I have introduced myself. You know who I am. I am Melissa Tossel. I am an empath. I channel, and I'm the owner and registered interior designer at Sonora Design, where we design and build homes that help you live your best life through intuitive, intelligent, quality design, and a sense of humor. It's a big mouthful. Yeah. Anna, please introduce yourself and who you are.
Hi, Melissa. Hi to everybody who is listening. Thank you so much for having me on your podcast today. It's an honor. I'm delighted I could speak about meditation ad nauseum. I'm the founder and CEO of Feel Good Foods Incorporated here in the state of Florida. I'm out of Miami on a beautiful island called Key Biscayne off of downtown Miami at DBA Elevated. So my business is twofold. The first part is the foodie in me bakes homemade pumpkin bread, and I sell a portion of the sale. I donate a portion of the sale to Feeding South Florida because I love food so much. I don't think anybody should go hungry. The thought of anybody going hungry devastates me, so I figured this is my little way of adding in a fun, delicious way to the cause. And Elevated is all about mindfulness and meditation classes. I have been passionate about health, wellness, mindfulness for many, many years now. And as a matter of fact, when my kids were little in the early 2000s, three in a row, I became a spinning instructor to get out of the house, away from tantrums and diapers and tears. And it was a healthy, happy way for me to like burn off some steam, come back home and be a new person. And since then, or actually before then, I've always read and researched on ways of how to improve our lives because something deep inside of me knew that we were more than just the daily grind. We are more than just like these bodies that we inhabit, and there's more to life than just like 9 to 5 and then go to sleep, and and so there's always that search going on. And in that mindfulness and meditation practice, not meditation just yet, and in that research and reading, meditation kept coming up. So at about 2010 or so, I started writing an e-newsletter called Inner Universe. Inner Universe was all about the trends going on with mindfulness and health and food, and it was my way of sharing what I was learning. But something kept coming up, and that was meditation. And it kept coming up, and I thought, oh boy, I'm busy. I have, I'm raising 3 kids, I'm eating well, I'm exercising, I'm working, and now I have to add meditation to the mix? What? Like, who has time for that? Really?
Right.
And
Right.
so, but the research was undeniable. Mental acuity, and people were feeling better and more joyful, and it was a great way to reduce stress, just to name a few. And so I thought, okay, well, let me give it a shot. And the rest is history. And I could go on about my journey, but I'll let you lead the way, and then I'll be happy to talk about how I got into it.
Okay, so let's touch on the first topic. Let's be honest. We could talk 2 hours about beginning like meditation, but just pretend we have a limited amount of time.
No problem.
Just for funsies, and let's talk a little bit about meditation for beginners. And we're looking at this through the lens of how to live your best life.
Absolutely.
Like if I'm eating well, if I'm trying to work on my mindset, if I'm trying to think positive, if I'm trying to change how I think about my relationship with my kids, I'm trying to do all of these things. And then everyone keeps telling me how they're meditating and it's really awesome. And like all my friends who've recently, so many people have been recently diagnosed with ADHD that I know that I align with, and I probably have some of that.
We all have a little bit of that.
Right. So telling how amazing meditation is for them. Like, break down for us, if I know nothing about meditation, as you say, like busy family, busy life, work life, you're trying to get ahead, like there's hustle culture still in us. Let's pretend that's still there. But we're interested enough to listen to you. Tell us a little bit about meditation, maybe break down like a little bit of the beginner way, like the really approachable way to do this. And please dissuade people who think you're like, you have your special meditation room and you have your incense going and you have all this stuff. So please take it away, Anna.
Yes, my pleasure. According to me, I failed miserably when I started meditating. I was just like, failure. I had read about how great it was, like you and your listeners, how wonderful it is, how great you feel. So what happened back then, at about 2010 or so, I started realizing, okay, there's got to be something to this because the research is just undeniable, right? Like you can't avoid it. So there's got to be a reason why meditators are so happy and why all these health benefits are, up and coming. So, I would try, and they say, let go of your thoughts, and I would try and let go of my thoughts, but isn't that thinking that you're trying to let go of your thoughts? So I thought, what am I doing? Like, how do you do this? Right.
Right.
I'd fall asleep. So I'd say failed, you know,
Oh,
my thoughts would go,
buddy.
failed. My
Buddy.
to-do list is this long, failed. So
Yeah.
failure, failure, failure. Right.
Aw.
So I thought to myself, okay, well, I'm going to try it. You know, it's kind of like riding a bike. Like, yeah, you fall,
Right.
you scrape your knee, you
Yep.
try again. And then next time you fall less and less. And then before you know it, you're wobbling. And then after wobbling, you're in like a straight line. It's the same thing. So
Right.
I had the fortune that my daughter was playing volleyball all over the map back then. Orlando, Fort Lauderdale, West Palm Beach, Naples, Tampa. So I would find myself in these hotel rooms early in the morning. It was just her and I. She'd be sound asleep. She didn't have to be on the court for a couple of hours. I thought to myself, all right, Anna, what's your excuse now? You know, what's your excuse? You don't have to be anywhere. You got to be quiet. It's dark. The room is nice and comfortable. Let's give it a try. So I started trying and I started trying and I started trying. And what I was noticing is that, yeah, my mind would kind of wander a little bit. And perhaps I would think of other things, but I started to realize, you know, just let it go. Just let it go. Okay, yeah, so I have A, B, and C to do, and it's just going to have to wait. It's just going to have to wait because this is my time. And so I would just sit it out and I would sit it out. And I started realizing, wow, this is like the adult version of a timeout that I really need. And so when I started maybe skipping them, yeah, I did plenty of those when I had toddlers, but now I needed a timeout, right? Because what
Love it.
happens is
This is a time out. You're
it
getting
is,
you're getting too excited, Anna. You're getting overexcited, and now you're upset at everything because you're over. You need a time out.
yeah,
It's
like
okay.
I
I
needed a
love it.
timeout. Like it's the adult version of a timeout where you just surrender.
Yeah.
And it's hard to surrender, especially for my personality where I feel like if I'm not in control, then it's not happening. It's just my personality. So if you're a control freak or you're used to like managing and no, you have to surrender. And so that in and of itself, number one. Number two, I had to learn not to judge. You know, I had to learn in that surrender, just don't judge that you're doing it wrong and that you're thinking and that just shut up. You know, I liken it to like, you know, if like a chalkboard is full of like hieroglyphics and like math equations, that's like your brain, right? So you take that eraser and go, that's what I tell my beginners. Take that eraser and if those equations start to creep up again, take the eraser. No big deal. No big deal. And what I started noticing is that when I wouldn't or if I would skip, something was off. Like
Right.
something was a little bit off, like a little bit edgy or I was starting to get into that learning of the bicycle. Like I was starting to learn how to ride the straight line and not wobble so much anymore.
Right.
And if you fast forward a little bit, at about 2016 or so, I was facing a lot of, you know, different challenges back then. And I got the hit, I got the idea, I got the impulse through a meditation. Hey, you really want to make an impact with feeding South Florida. Like you want to do something for them. You're a foodie, make your pumpkin bread and donate a portion of the sale. And that just sat with me so well. And the other thing and I'm still doing it. And the other thing I started noticing is in my case, I'm not saying this has happened for everybody. I opened up a valve to my higher wisdom. And so what I tell my beginning meditators is it's not that you're going to see fireworks every time you meditate. And it's not like you're going to sign a contract that day. And it's not like, no. What happens is that I'm convinced that we are born with a higher wisdom that we're kind of raised and taught to kind of put away and put away and put away. And we're so used to the external environment mandating our internal environment. Meditation flips that. And so now
Right.
our internal environment starts to mandate everything around us. And that's really powerful, you guys. That's really powerful because you start taking control over your own life. And so what happened is I keep notebooks everywhere. I'm the happiest nerd on the planet because I started receiving messages and I'm not talking like just in the meditation. I have to keep these when I meditate. because I'll get like, boom, little flashes of like, but throughout the day in my car, I'd be like, oh my God, I have to share. And then I started realizing I have to share this. This is helping me a lot, but it has no value if I don't share it. So what
Right.
I tell my beginning meditators is, and we'll get into the how, because I know people may be wondering how, but in a nutshell, actually there's four things that I want to say in a nutshell with the meditation. Number one, you connect to your higher wisdom, and you've got it. It's in there. You are smarter, you are more intuitive, you are wiser than you give yourself credit for. We're just used to the external, right? I need more coffee, I need more wine, I need more food, I need to go shopping. No, dig in. The answers are there, number one. Number two, the effects are cumulative. So imagine like you have an exercise regimen and you go to your gym, and while you're doing Zumba or while you're lifting weights, in that moment, you're burning calories and toning your muscles, right? But what happens afterwards is magical. You feel better, you have more energy, you sleep better, you drop a few pounds, you feel amazing. And so the same thing happens with a meditation practice. All of a sudden, that burning question that you had for so long, like why, boom, the answer slides in when you least expect it, when there's no resistance, because you've opened that valve.
Right.
So that answer was always there. You just didn't give it a chance to listen, right? Or that person that used to just irritate you, just rub you the wrong way, they don't have that over you anymore. You don't feel that irritation because your perspective is elevated. So you know better, right? That's number
Mm-hmm.
two. Number three, you have to take it as an act of self-love. Like, you know what? This is my time. I may have 1,000 things to do today, but I'm going to surrender, and this is an act of self-love, because guess what? No one's going to give it to me. So I'm going to give it to myself.
Right.
I'm going to provide myself the 5, 10, 15, 30, 3 minutes. I'm going to set my alarm a little bit earlier, and this is my time, right? And so number four, and I think this is important too, is that it helps us with our alignment. And alignment is such a cool thing. Alignment is that feeling of, hey, I have no fear, no judgment, no resistance, right? And I've taken all my gifts and talents, I've taken all my desires, and they're together. So I feel sure footed, I feel on purpose, I feel on point, right? So people will
Right.
say, what are you taking? And I would say, tell them you're taking vitamin me. I'm investing in me.
You have so many good bits. So what I want to touch on is a couple things. So bringing it back to people who've never meditated, anyone who's from Fem City, like all of this speak is just really familiar to us. Like even no matter if we're not technically spiritual practitioners, we have spiritual sides to us. However, for the rest of us, one of the things I want to touch on is the founder of Fem City, Violet, and I'm not going to say your last name, Violet, because I'm very respectful and I don't want to butcher it
De
because my mouth doesn't do that.
De Ayala.
Yes, I'm just not. I'm going to be respectful. We all know who Violet is, but as she mentions I was just watching one of our classes that we get on money mindset, and she was mentioning the really practical side is it changes how you think. So really, you getting more opportunities, like you getting that contract, is not because we really wave some magic wand in most respects. A lot of it, and some of it is being aligned, but you start reacting to things differently. When you are centered and calm, because I want to bring this up, when you are stressed out, like really stressed, you are your worst self. This is a universal truth. You are not your best person when you're stressed out. I can guarantee you that. If you're a great person, imagine how amazing you'll be when you're not stressed out. So being able to be centered and calm, like one, how much easier is it when your kids are annoying the crap out of you to deal with something? Or if you don't have kids, your fur babies, as people like to refer to them. How much easier is it to deal with those situations when you're not freaking out inside? So this being centered is you having an inner calm, you having taken some time to check in with yourself.
Correct.
And center everything and give yourself permission to just be for a little bit. And that's really important. I also want to touch on, gotta remember, because you talked for such a long time, and it was like I got my responses, and now I don't remember them all. Also, it does creep into everything else, and opening up your spiritual side it's not really that strange. It's not that weird. It can come from a variety of things. Mine started because I did energy healing. Whole ton of it. An amazing woman named Aurora does deep energy healing, and she did a lot of work on me over the years, and I helped her over the years as well. So that's when mine started to come out, is I started to tell her what things meant in the energy healing session, rather than her telling me what things meant. So that's kind of the lens I came from. Meditation helps you open things up.
Yeah.
It makes you open to things. It makes you open to make decisions like, I really hate what I'm doing for a living.
Yeah.
You know what? Now that I realize that, maybe I want to change that.
Yeah.
Maybe my family would really support that because they love seeing me happier.
Right.
Like, these decisions happen when you start opening up. And I also want to touch on that this self-care portion of it is incredibly important. That
The self-love.
whatever you were doing, even if it's brushing, for me, like this was a milestone, brushing my teeth and washing my face in the morning. Those moments where you are just in this moment, treating it as an act of taking care of yourself, make a world of a difference.
Yes.
There is not enough self-love. And I also really love, you kind of touched on this, that in our society, especially as women, the softer intuitive side is kind of, since COVID and since people have had time to sit down and be mindful and be away from everything, it's a lot more prevalent. But there's still this side of, like, as they call woo-woo, that's like mysterious, and it's not as respected as, you say, the external stuff is. But we're actually going to kind of touch on how these two connect next week, because we're going to talk about, with Dr. Mary Grogan, who talks about international leadership, about reflexive practice. So that goes right along with meditation, which is looking at yourself for ways you can be a better leader and show up better as a leader in your workplace or other places like that. So I think that's a really great introduction as to why it's important. I know personally meditation looks very different. So I was talking, like, the different ways we use our senses. I love music. However, my love of music does not translate to meditating, because I love music too much. I love pop music. That's not a meditation activity. It really isn't. I will try it someday, like beautiful meditation music. Yeah. I've had a noisy mind for a long time as an empath and as someone who channels and didn't know there were, at one point I didn't know I was doing that. My head has been very busy, and so having a moment where it's calm is very important to me. And as you say, it has spread through the rest of my life. Sure. So, like, some meditational activities, they don't look the same. Sure. I do now do meditating. I sit at the lakeshore here in Toronto, and I meditate by the water because that's like my perfect spot. I love nature. I have to be out in nature when I do it. Absolutely. That's very, very different than when I'm channeling. I don't get messages when I'm meditating. When I'm meditating, I am centering myself and I'm concentrating on me. However, that calm does spread for the rest of your life. So, things I've noticed. So, meditation may look different, right, Anna? I mean, some of the meditational stuff for me are, because I have ADHD tendencies, are busy work with my hands. So I'm also very visual. So adult coloring is very meditational for me, right, as is cross stitch.
Yeah.
It's a very meditational activity. It's something that's keeping my mind busy visually on something. And then my mind can kind of do the flow and the wander that, guys, I'm going to spoil it for you. You need time to be bored. That's another problem. We don't sit with nothing to do and no phone ever.
Oh, no.
We never allow ourselves to be bored.
No.
So if you were just starting, let's start with the classic example. I know I am in a minority, not too big, small of a minority, but I'm in a minority because I don't have kids. However, most people have kids. How do you realistically start this? Like, what does this look like? What is the minimum you need to put into this to start meditating? What are the, like, I'd love also if you just spitball different times a day.
Okay.
Because I feel like, why can't you fit it into your lunch break?
Right. Right. So, so I've been there, done that, as they say. I wasn't born, a meditator. I started because, like I said, the research was undeniable. And because of everything that I have read and learned, meditation was always weaving its way in. So I knew that there was something to it, right? And I always think, wow, if they taught us this in schools, if it was part of our recess, like what a different world we would be living in, to tap into you, tap into you. No, we're not taught that. So I'm self-taught. Yes, there's amazing apps out there and amazing books and it's out there, but sooner or later you have to tap into you, right?
Right.
And so my whole approach is, and this is in my 4-step recipe for mindfulness, which includes meditation as the first step. My whole approach is practical, simple, powerful, but you have to show up and you have to be disciplined. So in my classes, I teach the how, because if I tell you this is a fabulous pen, oh my gosh, the ink is amazing. Until you use it, until you try it, you're just not going to know, right? And in
Right.
order to see that, you have to put pen to paper often to realize, hey, this is a pretty good pen. Same thing with meditating. And so I prefer the morning, and I'm going to tell you there's a couple of reasons why. Master meditation teacher David G, I don't know if you're familiar with him, he says to practice your RPMs, rise, pee, meditate. And the reason why I like the morning time is because if you have just left a nice sweet slumber, you're still in what's called, or what Abraham Hicks calls, non-resistant mode, right? So you haven't grabbed your cup of coffee, you haven't turned on the news, you haven't grabbed your phone, which nowadays is the first thing, you haven't put those lunch boxes together or the backpacks or the kids out the door. And so set your alarm 10, 15 minutes earlier than when you have to get up. If you're standing for 10 minutes at Starbucks for a latte, you have time to meditate. If you're binging on Netflix, you have time to meditate, because that's the number one thing. People will say, I don't have time. Well, I don't know how, and I don't have time. Like, who has time for that? And I've been there. I completely understand. So I tell newbies or beginners, it doesn't have to be the morning. Maybe in the afternoons you have a little bit of time that's perfect for you, right?
Right.
So in the morning time, it's fabulous because it's a non-resistant time, right? And before life begins, you just tap into you. You don't have to have like another bedroom that has like an altar and wonderful cushions and incense and candles, and that's fabulous. If you have that and you want to stick to that, wonderful. But my whole point is that you don't have to. Go back to your bed, sit on the favorite corner of your couch, go to your favorite cushiest, comfiest chair, and just sit there. Sit there for a few minutes. I like to grab my soft blanket and I just sit there, and I just close out. Now, admittedly, at the beginning, sometimes my mind will like wander a little bit, and then I just kind of kindly and gently tell myself, all right, good enough, good enough. It's time to like, shut up. And I have a soft music playing. Pandora has a station called Spa Suite that works for me. Some other people will like a guided meditation. And I find that tapping in is just powerful, and I can't live without it. So whether I'm traveling, if I know that I have to get up earlier, then I wake up a little bit earlier and I do that. And so I tell people, just sit there for 5 or 10 minutes. And if the whole time you were thinking about something, So what? Who cares? Nobody's grading you except you. The
Right,
important thing is
right,
that you are touching it, and then the next time will be easier, and the next time will be easier, and the next time. And then before you know it, the magic is in the compilation of the little nuances. I feel better. I'm a little less stressed. I have a better outlook. And I have a really strong belief that our perspective is what navigates our circumstances, not the other way around.
right,
And I had it wrong for decades. I thought, okay, if the day looks crappy, then I'm crappy.
right,
No, I make my day. And if it's raining outside and pouring, I can still be happy.
right.
Just to give you an example.
I
And
just
so
want
when that
to,
person,
I just want to quick touch on something. Um, Really, my first experience with meditation was in high school. And I'm saying this for a very good reason, because there's a lot of people with busy minds, busy lives, busy kids, and we're taught hustle culture. You're always on, you're always doing things.
yeah.
When you're not doing something, you're on your phone engaging with other stuff. Um, my friend talked me into doing Tai Chi class
Mm-hmm.
in high school. I want you to know it was just as weird kids taking a Tai Chi class and when I was in high school in 2000,
Mm-hmm.
give or take.
Mm-hmm.
My friend didn't stay. I stayed.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of liked it.
Mm-hmm.
I incidentally at the time, I really resonated with moving chi around
Mm-hmm.
and healing with chi and doing other stuff like that. However, our teacher, Mr. Richard, taught gifted students or differently abled students in our high school.
Mm-hmm.
So he had a certain amount of patient approach. He had trained with the guy who trained Bruce Lee.
Mm-hmm. Oh wow.
Like seriously, his Bruce Lee's daughter came and critiqued my Tai Chi. I can't tell you how nerve-wracking that is. When we just began. However, I'm bringing this up because how much harder is it to do something like this in a teenage mind than it is for an adult? It's very doable because part of what he taught us is the clear mind element you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
That clearing your mind and being present and feeling through the movements was very important. And I
Yeah,
took that to heart.
it
And
is.
that was my first experience meditating, was doing Tai Chi. That is also why people like to do Tai Chi, because it's a very meditational activity. It's not a harsh physical movement.
Right.
And if you get the right teacher, they can tell you what the meaning and what these movements actually mean.
Mm-hmm.
But I wanted to touch on that because if teenage me can learn to meditate, you can do this. And I want to emphasize something.
Mm-hmm.
The worst thing you can ever do for yourself is beat yourself up about anything.
Yeah, been there, done that.
It's,
Doesn't work.
it's really easy to do. I've been on a spiritual journey with my amazing mom. I started mine, and she followed me into it
Nice.
blindly and with a lot of faith. And she's done so amazing. But my mind just cleared. I don't like when it does that, Anna. We'll move forward then. We've got it.
You're talking about your mom and how she followed through
I
with you.
did. I remember that part, but I don't remember. Nope, it's not important then. Universe says move on. Oh, that's what I was talking about. The issue you have is like things like my mom wants to think more positive and talk better to herself. And I know this from personal experience, by the way. This is personal experience. The thing that helped me the most, I taught myself, you have to talk to yourself like you would your absolute best friend.
Yeah.
Or
Self-love.
in my mom's case, like she's talking to me because she loves me that deeply and sincerely. I said, if you wouldn't say what you're saying to yourself to that sort of person in your life, you've no business saying it to you. And what she would do is she'd beat herself up for saying bad things. I was like, no, time out. Guys, no, we don't do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's honestly, if the only thing you get out of meditation is this, it changes your entire life.
Yeah.
Because if you're not fighting you, there's a lot less to fight.
Yeah. Exactly. We're so hard on ourselves.
Yes. So what I say is you got to do it with love.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
if you start thinking of something, you're just like, it's okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that's what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
It's like everyone who talks about meditation, it's perfectionist.
Yes.
Okay, come
Yes.
real close to the camera, perfectionist. I love you. You're wonderful the way you are. You don't get that yet, but you will.
Mm-hmm.
Perfectionist, you're not going to get it right the first time.
And it's
There's TV and movies ruin every activity for every perfectionist ever. I have this expectation will be amazing the first time. You're going to keep thinking about things. The point, as Anna said, is just gently go, hey.
It's okay.
It's okay.
And
it's
remembering that meditation or mindfulness or practice in and of itself is an act of self-love, because you're taking that time for you, right? You're taking that time. It's an act of self-love.
Right.
And so along that same vein, listen, I could beat myself up for a lot of things. And I've been there, I've done that, and it's futile. It's an exercise in futility. It doesn't do anything. Because, huh?
Just let go. And also another tip, if you're beginning and you seem to keep thinking of things, you can always have a focal point. So you can use guided meditation is a great way if you just can't stop thinking. Fair. Overthinker, perfectionist. These are really bad combinations, guys. You can do guided meditation. You can choose something to listen to. My husband even knows this. Like, you can listen to the fan in the background.
That's it. Nobody's right.
Hearing that sound.
Something that's mundane, like the air conditioning.
You can concentrate on your breath. Although for me personally, then I would overthink thinking about my breath, and I'd be like, "Am I breathing properly?" Yeah, right. But overthinker, Anna, come on. I'm being real, guys. I'm an overthinker. Right. So you can use tools like this, especially in the beginning. If you just can't sit in a quiet place and you're like, I can't do this, it's fine. It's okay. You can use a tool.
Because the next time you show up, you're going to think a little bit less about it. And the next time you show up, you're going to not even think about it at all. And the next time you show up, it's just going to get easier and easier. But again, you're accessing, it gets easier. It gets easier. And again, it's the little nuances that begin to add up that you're like, oh, wow. And so show up, be disciplined about it. Just like you brush your teeth, be disciplined about it. Set that little time out. Huh?
I also want to plug something up. I'm not plugging it. Like, I'm going to help them make more money. There is a little show on Netflix. If you are any way a spiritual practitioner, you need to watch it, because the messaging is amazing and it's true. Take it to heart if you're a spiritual practitioner. Everyone else, it's a really good introduction to how meditation works. So it is called The Wonderful Story of Henry Sugar.
I'm gonna write that down.
And Mr. Benedict Cumberbatch is in it. And another guy I really like, Richard Ayoade, is in it, and a couple other people you would recognize. The style is visually amazing. It's only like 40 minutes, so it's not like a full movie. However, I highly recommend checking it out. If you don't know anything about meditation, it's going beyond the extraordinary things they're talking about doing because of meditating. They're 100% true about like how hard it is to do and all of that stuff. So I highly recommend checking it out. Anna, you have to check it out when you have a second.
I'm going to check it out.
So I want to briefly touch on, okay, Anna, I did it. I found time. I don't know how I found the time. I carved it out and it made me a priority. I told everyone you're not to mess with me when I'm meditating. You wait until after I'm done meditating. You see, when the clock turns that number, that's when you can start bothering me. Before that, I have my meditation time. You carve it out and you're like, yeah, I'm glad I don't have to tell anybody else this, but you're kind of right. I kind of like this.
Yeah.
That's the great too, is you don't have to tell anyone they were right, guys. You can just enjoy this quietly to yourself. You're starting to enjoy it, and you're in that position I was talking my friend Stephanie is in, which is, I did the meditating. I can do it for a few minutes now. I can clear my mind. I want to take this somewhere else. But there's 5,000 apps in the App Store for meditating. There's 100,000 books out there. There's websites everywhere. There's all kinds of Instagram accounts. Like, Anna, give us like just some direction, like maybe some questions we can ask ourselves to kind of direct us on where we should be looking, or where we could start looking for our information on where to bring our meditation practice.
So I have three rules that I always tell my students, especially the beginners. Number one, and I have to say, I don't subscribe to any particular app or book. I've read so many, and I just kind of found my own way. So I teach what's worked for me, and what's worked for me is really simple. It's so simple. It's like it's very elementary, but it's very powerful. Again, as long as you show up. So I tell people, number one, don't judge. Just don't judge. Surrender for that moment and don't judge. Number two, surrender. Surrender. Yes, you have a million things to do today. You've got all these obligations. But in that time, in those 3 minutes, in those 15 minutes, in those 10 minutes, you're just going to surrender. Okay? The magic happens after that.
Yep.
The way you tackle something that's been thrown your way, right? And the other thing is, let life happen around you. So maybe when you're meditating, there's a car alarm that won't shut up. Maybe there's a dog that's barking. So what? Let the dog bark. Who cares? What I'm saying is that your circumstances don't have to be perfect for you to have a perfect meditation. Because guess what? You're going to show up tomorrow, and the next day, and the next day, and the next day. Maybe there's a storm the next time. Who cares? The important thing is that you tap into that time in with you. And just know that you're not perfect, and that is you are the perfect imperfection. Therein lies your perfection, is your imperfection, because you're human, right?
Right.
And that's okay. And if you screw up, and listen, I have meditated sometimes that I have 20 of these, and I'm like, shut up, shut up. It's time to but in that moment, at the same time, wow, did I get some great ideas. So at the same time, I can't fight it. I just gently guide myself to, let's go back to our quiet time. So I would say, out of those three rules, the most important one, don't judge. And the same thing happens when you go to journaling, when you do your affirmations, anything. Don't judge. We're so quick to judge. And when we judge ourselves, we are the harshest. And so it's not worth it. It's not worth it, guys. Just show up and make it fun, make it comfortable, and then, so as far as choosing an app or a website, if you feel called, or if you feel inclined, like, look, I really need that I need that, I need that crutch. Nothing wrong with that. Go to what you feel comfortable with. And again, don't judge. Oh, this is for beginners. I must be an idiot. No, this is what resonates with you. Oh, this is a great author. I happen to love Abraham Hicks. They have meditations, and I've listened to them before. But for me, I just want to listen to what's in here, and what that has to say. And I'm comfortable with that. But there's so many wonderful things out there. Sometimes people are inclined to, maybe there's somebody on Instagram gives a great class. Maybe they do meditation, whatever works for you. But again, don't judge, and whatever you feel is going to help you. And the day will come where maybe that author doesn't do it for you anymore. Maybe you want to move on to another one. Or maybe it's all about the quiet music, and that's good enough for you. Find what works for you. Don't be hard on yourself. Show up. Make it simple. If 3 minutes turns into 14 minutes, fabulous. If you can't do more than 8, so be it. Guess what? You're showing up tomorrow. Show up.
Right. All right. So listen to yourself. Be open. Yeah. I would add to that, you feel free to be practical. If you don't read books, don't get a book. If you're on TikTok all the time, look up meditation on TikTok. Exactly. I can guarantee there's someone on there that does it. and feel free to explore the medium you feel is going to resonate the most with you.
That's it, because there's so much.
There's so much. Choose whatever medium speaks to you. I can say for music and other stuff, you may want to start maybe watching some people who talk about meditating, and then you can get some recommendations. You can also look around you. You know those, 10 friends who tell you they meditate and it's amazing? Why don't you ask them? Ask them what they use. Ask them what they're into. Maybe there are things
you're
that
going to
you
do
might,
what you want, right?
yes. You and don't be afraid if, like, I know a bunch of people who do guided meditations. I am not a guided meditation person. It's not how I roll. I had a conversation with my dear friend Sarah where we discussed this. We're both internally motivated people. I need to go through things my own way because I'm so intuitive about this. So I'm not a guided meditation person. However, when the mood calls for it, I will do it. So be compassionate to yourself. Don't judge. Be consistent, because showing up for yourself will show up in everything else. And you can find me here on Instagram. You can go through my profile to get to my website. You can go through my profile to get all kinds of cool stuff, like all the YouTube videos I've ever had. You can see all the articles I've written. You can see like where I've spoken. I'm a speaker as well. You know where to find me, and no matter what social media you're on, you can find me. Anna, how do people find you if they want to follow you or take in your stuff? Please let us
know. So Instagram under Anna Tootle, also Sunrise Gratitude KB, which stands for Key Biscayne, on Instagram. That's another way to follow me. I'm also on LinkedIn. Let's see. And I don't do too much on the X and TikTok. Maybe I'll do like a quick story, for people that love to scroll, like I'll do that. But really, Instagram is the best way. My website is under construction, annatootle.com right now. But really, Instagram is the best way. It truly is the best way. And in the past, I've done little tidbits and videos that I'm going to do again. I'm just entering my busiest time of the year for baking and pumpkin bread right now, but that's fine. And I'm looking forward to sharing a lot of the wisdom that I've garnered and that I've learned and the downloads that I've received in 2024. That's one of my missions. But in the meantime, I tell people in and out of my classes, tap in, because you are wiser, you are smarter, you are more intuitive, and you have more knowledge than you can ever give yourself credit for.
Right.
Just give yourself time to listen and you will be surprised.
Right. Absolutely. And I do want to plug, because you're not plugging it, if anyone is in Florida, in South Florida, you in the Miami area, you do wonderful gatherings. Yes. So if you do follow Anna and you are in that area, she will always tell you when one of those is coming up. And I can also guarantee you her messaging and the stuff she does post on her social media is very lovely, because I've been partaking for a little while. So you don't have to worry about not being full of. So thank you, everyone, for joining us. This was a much longer one than it normally is, but we had so much to talk about. This is such a big topic. I hope this helped you. I hope you enjoyed it. As I say, next week, I have the amazing Dr. Mary Grogan, who is such an expert on international leadership. And she teaches entrepreneurs. She teaches other classes. She talks about diversity, equity, and inclusivity topics. She talks about leadership among BIPOC individuals. She's got an amazing perspective. You'll hear some of her credentials. She's going to be talking about reflexive practice. So to break it down, for those of us who don't know what the heck that means, it's looking internally for clues on how you can be a better leader, and also talking about that inner critic and learning to do positive reinforcement, positive criticism, I don't have the word right now. Talked myself out. So thank you so much, everyone. Thank you very much, Anna, for joining me. I
Yes.
really
Yes.
enjoyed
If I could
this.
say something about the South Florida women that are here. This year, I am president of Fem City Miami, and Fem City is, as we well know, is all about business for your soul. So no matter what phase or stage of life and the business that you're in, we are here to support you. We are all about unconditional support, good vibes, gratitude, and then the byproduct is networking. And if you look at all across the board, my pumpkin bread, sunrise gratitude, and Fem City, the common denominator is community. And we're here to tell you that you don't have to go it alone. So you have a community that and a tribe that is here behind you to help you in a post-pandemic climate. I think that speaks volumes. We know better now.
Yep, absolutely. And I will do the less specific plug that we have FemCity chapters all over the US and in some locations in Canada. We have a bunch here in Ontario as well as you don't even need to be in a city where there is one. There are virtual chapters where you can be in the middle of nowhere in your amazing cabin in the middle of the woods and join them for networking. So
listen, the
there
friendships
is,
I forged through Fem City,
right.
priceless.
You can absolutely find a link in my bio to FemCity to join. You can probably find something through Anna here, and she's definitely done a post about how amazing it is. So thank you, everyone. Have a great Friday, and I'm sending out, as I said before, all of the love.
Yes, thank you, Melissa. Thank you for hosting me. Thank you for having me on your podcast.
You're
It's been great fun.
very welcome.
Have a great weekend, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.